Hi guys, welcome to Man Talk TV. This is Franco from Suited Up Manila. Today we're very fortunate to interview a very relevant personality, stock market trader, personal financial consultant, entrepreneur, blogger, motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, best-selling author, and president of Stock Smart. Our dear friend, Mr. Marvin Germo. Hi, Marvin.
So, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be part of your YouTube channel as well. So, yeah, thank you.
So we'd like to try to inform and inspire and let our viewers kind of think of what the next steps will be moving forward. No? So I'll just get right to it. Our first question would be, could you give us your take on the gravity of the situation that we are in right now? And on one end, we have the effects of the pandemic, and on the other, we have the economic repercussions which we're about to face after the lockdown.
You said it well, no, from the question already that this is two different types of crisis. Number one is we're experiencing a health crisis, and number two, because of the health crisis, it's spilling over into something that impacts the businesses already and in general will impact the economy. For us to know how big of how grave this is from an economic aspect, we have to look at what were the different crashes that happened a couple of years prior to this. You had the 2008 crash, then you had the 1997 Asian financial crisis. The 1997 Asian financial crisis was a crash because was a property crash. The 2008 financial crisis was a crisis because financial markets in the US collapsed, and then a lot of other financial institutions got into those derivatives when it was a ripple effect in the property sector there, then it cascaded into something that was bigger. Today, it's different because if you compare 2008 and 2020, number one, it did not affect consumption, meaning looking at it from the local economy, Filipinos still spent money. Right now, even though you have the money to spend, because you can't go out, you can't really spend it. And the context of that is the Philippines is a consumption-driven economy, meaning we're not like Thailand where exports sila malakas, Vietnam exports din. Sa atin, the economy is thriving because Filipinos spend a lot. And that's now hampered because of what the lockdown that's happening here. Imagine, majority of the malls closed. SM Prime waiving 4 billion pesos worth in rent. Ayala Land, I think doing around 2 billion. Imagine the revenues that are lost there, and them losing revenues also will hamper their growth. But also we have to look at the repercussions that a lot of the small businesses are closed. I'm just even talking about the retail businesses, but the entire events industry, they're closed. Weddings, conferences, concerts, movies, anything that has people congregating in one area, they're all closed. So you imagine the impact. Photographers, videographers, skaters are all getting zero sales right now. So it's so different because we are walking into something that we have never seen before. So until we find a vaccine, until we find the cure, even if the lockdown is over, we won't go back to normal. Ano kung yung umupo dito before this may coronavirus? It won't go back to the way it was before. So you really you won't expect spending to go back. You won't expect travel to go back to where it was until the cure is there. So in terms of the impact, a lot of economies have already said that the second quarter of the year we're gonna contract. The economy will slow down. We will go into a recession first before when everything gets better, we will start to recover. Then 2021, it will be better, and it will be better and faster. But all of the growth targets that we had for 2020, they're not there. And businesses also, a lot of the big businesses and even the smaller ones, it's not anymore a question if they're targeting profitability. The question now is they're just targeting liquidity. They just need as much cash right now so that they stay alive, but not just stay alive. They have opportunities later on when everything goes back to normal. They have the cash to be able to come out of the gates running. We don't know how the end will be yet, but I think it's better also that we find the sweet spot where until a cure is found, we find a way where the economy will somehow be open for at a certain level, but in a way we protect people here kasi we cannot afford a second lockdown. It will be
Definitely.
scarier to open everything and then
Close.
suddenly the infections will rise again. Similar to what happened to other countries. They opened certain portions and then boom, it spiked up again. So when people are saying that we open it up already,
Yes.
which will be good for the economy, if it's not done well and we have to go into a second lockdown, that will be even more damaging to the economy as a whole.
Correct. Now, Marvin, next question, I guess, would be a lot of us have seen financial markets like the Philippine Stock Exchange in the US. Definitely, when the virus started to spread and lockdowns were happening, the levels of the index crashed. You know, they were like in the PSEI, they went to 4,000 levels from highs of 7,000, and then after a few days or weeks, it slowly started going up again, and then up to a point where it reached like maybe as high as 30% to 5 levels. Could you talk us through how that happened and why that happened? You know, because for ordinary, people like us who don't really invest in the market that much, I mean, it's like we're having a hard time, but then it's going up. Can you explain a little of what's going on there?
Before the markets dropped, mid-March, we were already dropping. Our market was different from the US. That the issue kasi before all of this was the trade war in the US. So while the trade war was happening in the US, markets in the US were going up, but the Philippine market was already slightly going down already. We were you mentioned we were at the 7,000 level. If you look back 2018, we were at 9,000. So
Correct.
we weren't zooming like the US before this happened. So when the lockdown started and all of these fears of the pandemic started, we started to crash. And the crash, as you mentioned, 7,000 to 4,000, it was something that was fast. It was even faster than the 2008 crisis. The single day crash was stronger because they closed the PSE for 2 days. So
Correct.
when they closed the PSE for 2 days, naipon eh. Everyone that wanted to go out, everyone that wanted to sell had to go out, and then boom, it started to go down. So couple of things. Number one, a lot of the stocks that are big form a large part of the Philippine Stock Exchange Index, which what you mentioned. One of them was Ayala Land. Ayala Land came from 53 just last year to 19 pesos on that drop in March. Now, there comes a point in time kasi when there's a lot of things that people are scared of, or when there's a lot of fear, no matter how good the company is, people will act out of emotion and they will sell. When a lot of people are selling, the prices will go down, and that's what happened. In times of fear, in times of panic, the growth prospects of how good the company is thrown out the window, and a lot of people will go in either survival mode or they will try to go into cash. And that's what happened. So it dropped. When it dropped, there will be people who have cash, who have longer time horizons, that will see that there are certain companies that are at a discount, that they might not earn as much in 2020, but I'm not buying them because of what they will do in 2020. I'm buying them today at a discount because I think by 2022, 2023, the risk that I took today will compensate for the earnings later on. So that's what happened. The drop was so big that a lot of people who had cash and who did not mind the volatility took it also already.
Yeah.
That's
So
one.
they took it as an opportunity.
Yeah. Number two, there are some stocks kasi that give a lot of dividends. And when Meralco, Globe, PLDT started to drop massively, also, the dividend yield for those stocks were very high. So for those who are not investing in the stock market, when you buy a stock that has high dividends, para na yung time deposit. Time deposit na gumagalaw lang yung price. Pero if you don't sell it, and then you believe the company will still do well, your returns will be
Continue.
your yield will be there. Kumbaga for me, I'm not really a property. I have property, but I don't earn from rental income. Yung dividends, yun yung rental income ko. That's my passive income. So as long as I think, teka, will people stop using Globe?
Yes.
I don't think so. So why would I be scared buying Globe if I know that they will have dividends from it, in the same way for PLDT? And in fact, the fact that we're talking via Zoom, PLDT and Globe are earning massive amounts of money from data because of what's happening in the coronavirus. So that's what's happened. That's what happened. So the big drop was because of fear. Then
Yes.
it bounced back up because people were bottom picking. They were buying it because it was ridiculously cheap. For example, kung ibenta mo yung suits mo na 500 pesos, kahit
Yes.
anong
Kunin yan.
coronavirus, pick up at BGC, kahit anong coronavirus, and people will go kasi 500 pesos suit. Something like that.
But what would necessitate it being cheap? I mean, would you say right now or during that time talagang cheap na yon, or is it going to go cheaper? What is the mindset there?
Okay, there's two things to consider in the market. There's price and there's value. The price is dictated pretty much by supply and demand. So that's something we cannot control. That's something we don't know how people will feel. So that was the risk there. If you buy Ayala Land at 19, there's no guarantee that it will stay at 19 or even go up. There was a chance that for those who bought it and took the risk there, it could have even gone lower. But they were thinking that, for example, let's go back to the suit para it's simple.
Yeah, sure.
There were people thinking that if I buy this now at 500 pesos na suit, even if it goes down to 400, alam ko later on may bibili sa akin yan ng 20,000 pesos because I know the quality of it. So it's about knowing the value of it. That even though no one will buy it for you today at 500 pesos, it might even go lower at 400. You know when things go back to normal, you know the value of it will buy higher. So that's the framework.
That's the logic. That's the mindset. I mean, it's very, very refreshing kasi, I mean, the way that you put it, it makes it sound much simpler and easier to grasp.
Grabe naman. Thank you. That's
another one would be we've seen a lot of course you've discussed na rin naman earlier about the stock prices, especially of blue chip stocks, but we've seen like posts before when the market was doing quite okay, posts of like Jollibee or Ayala or these other blue chip stocks, and comparing it like to the purchase price that they bought it like maybe 10 years ago or when the last financial crisis hit. And they're comparing it now and seeing na, hey, parang it's kind of like the same na rin yung price. So parang, is that to you personally a signal to kind of accumulate on these stocks right now? Or parang are we going to like wait muna for May and onward to see if the lockdown will happen, or is that too late?
Here's what's interesting, no? I don't think people should make comparisons that way because let me give you an example. You mentioned comparing prices 10 years ago. So you mentioned also Jollibee. The Jollibee 10 years ago is not the Jollibee today. The Jollibee 20 years ago did not even have Mang Inasal in their group of companies. It's hard to look at it from that perspective because the companies have evolved already. So the one way to look at it, you mentioned it that okay, the price 5 years ago, say for company X is 100 pesos. Then today it's 100 pesos again. Pero 10 years ago, that company with 100 pesos only had 10 stores. Ngayon they have 1,000 stores. So it's cheap already. I guess my tip there is just look at the price in reference to what it was before. Look at the business. Look at the company. Look at it from a perspective that if I have cash, am I buying? Kasi if 10 years ago the number of stores remained the same, it doesn't look like a discount because it's still the same company. For people who are long-term investors, I assume that a majority of people who are watching here would be investors, not traders. They always have to look at it from a business. Am I buying this business because it's good, it's growing, that even if there's a coronavirus, when everything else will recover, will this business do better again later on? Am I buying it for a discount because it's cheap right now, but its growth prospects will still be there? People need to remember this. When you buy a stock today, you will never benefit from what it earned in the past. You will only benefit from what it earned in the future. So
what it will do.
What it will do, how it will grow. Kasi I'll give you another example. What if that company went back to its price 10 years ago? Pero the company that you're buying is a company that's producing films for cameras, something like that. It's back to the same price, but the business is not as competitive as where it was before because no one uses films anymore.
Correct.
So they all have to look back to what the business is, what the company is. Another perspective: if another stock came back to its price 10 years ago, but you're telling me that that company is Netflix, you're telling me that company is Zoom, you're telling me that company is Amazon, then I'll buy it because I know the growth prospects of it, especially right now, because everything right now will be because of this. Whoever wins this will win everything. So don't just look at the price, look at the value, look at the growth, and that's where all of the analysis should actually start.
Correct. As well as I think looking back and looking forward, because I mean, if you look back and it may have some value, but moving forward, it may not anymore. Then there's no point in buying it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, well, I think you've touched on it earlier as well, regarding the famous quote of Warren Buffett, wherein he says, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." Does it apply to what is happening today? And I mean, did it apply during that drop from 7 or 6,000 levels to 4,000? And what would that difference be compared to, like, the saying "catching a falling sword," wherein I mean, a lot of us here who are watching, a lot of the people who are watching aren't really that technically savvy when it comes to finance or financial investing. They might also get in trouble na pumasok ako kasi alam kong mababa, tas lalo akong nalugi dahil parang I caught the falling sword. I mean, how can you compare or kind of discuss both?
That's a very, very good question. To add context to that, what Warren Buffett was basically saying was, when everyone's scared, that's when you buy. When everyone is so excited, that's when you think about, it might not be a good time to buy. So the way I'll answer it, because there will be a lot of people watching this with different, I guess, with different points in their finances. The answer, it depends. And I'll segment it that way. Number one, if you're a person that you probably might lose your job, your business is not doing well, there's no cash coming in spite of the opportunity, don't invest. You need to protect your cash first. If you have still a job, your cash flow is still there, but you don't have any savings or you have minimal savings, don't take out your savings and buy the opportunity. You still have to protect your cash. You still need to be liquid at this time. Now, if you are a person that you have cash flow still, you also have cash, then on top of all of this, you have extra. That's when that quote applies to you. That's when you can consider coming in. I say you can consider because it doesn't matter how much opportunity is in there, kung hindi mo pinag-aralan, you will also lose money. So people take that quote out of context also, that because everyone's scared, mag-invest na rin ako. You need to remember this. In anything in life, it's not the opportunity that will bring you money. It's the skills that you apply into that opportunity. In business, in investing, you make money based on the skills that you have. So if you have zero skills and you have money and there's an opportunity, you still might lose it. So my suggestion there is this. If you have a very, very long time frame, you don't need the money, you have cash flow, you have cash. The first thing that they can do, the easiest thing that they can do, is try to study index equity funds. And then have a very, very long time frame, they invest in that. Because that one at least lowers the risk that if they want to take advantage of the opportunity but don't have the time, don't have the capability yet to actually do it, they start with that to get their feet wet. That's my first suggestion. Then, my second suggestion there is this. For example, they have ₱1 million. My suggestion, don't put the entire million yet. Start small. A lot of people want to, I'll put the ₱1 million already so that when it doubles, I get 2 million. However, when people think that way, they don't think about the downside, that pwede siya from 1 million, it can also go to 800,000. And it's not just the monetary amount that will go down. The question is, can you tolerate it? Can you tolerate the volatility? Can you tolerate you putting your money and see it dwindling away? And the best way for you to be able to tolerate it is to start small first. Meaning, you start small, put this amount in, then you actually see, kaya ko yata ito . Then you put more. And then as it starts to increase, parang in business lang. Before you start expanding, you try this out first. Then, may bumibili. Saka mo dadamihan yung inventory mo. You don't take out a large loan kagad just because you think it's a very, very good concept. Ganun din sa
baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. Then, after that, when you see na mukhang okay to and then it gave you it gave you enough time to also study. Start investing in direct stocks. But you have to study more. You have to study more there. Iba yung buying an index equity fund versus going into direct stocks, because there will be a larger amount of time to study. Because to be honest, investing in the market right now is easy because it's online. You just have to press it. It will just take a few seconds and you're done. What takes a lot of time is the amount of time that you study. So build your skills, then make your skills proportional to the amount of money that you put in. Then, kunyari, lumaki na yung pera mo. Tapos sabi mo, parang hanggang dito na lang to. For example, 500,000. Anything above 500,000, hindi ko na kaya, kinakabahan ako. Then you just limit it there. Then you just stop there. Then if you have other amounts of money, you invest it elsewhere into something that you can tolerate. So that's my suggestion. Please, I hope that people get this, that people always say that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. No, it's not. There will always be opportunities. Markets will always drop. You will always have a chance to position and get something. Never feel pressure that you need to come in because people are saying this is an opportunity of a lifetime.
Correct.
To be honest, it's one of the best times to come in. But if it's something you don't understand yet, it's not something that's worth putting your money on. You put your money on something that you know very, 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 very well. That's why a lot of people are making money in Forex. I'm not investing in Forex because it's not something that I know a lot of as compared to stocks. So, yun.
Correct. Kasi, like tayo, same age pala tayo, di ba? So, we've witnessed our parents grow up also. We witnessed our parents raise us also, and we've seen also some financial turmoil during the past. And like us, I have one example would be, we had this property that there was a person selling a property, and it was really nice. It was in Ayala, Alabang. And it was for like maybe 1.5 million only at the time. And so that thing stuck in my mind, during that time. When I was growing up, it was like, when the next kind of, opportunity happens, when things go down, I want to be ready. And I want to be able to attack that, and not like before na parang we kind of, we're a bit hesitant, to invest or risk more. Diba? So, but you're right in saying also that, definitely a lot of study and a lot of thought has to be given before investing and, making a financial decision, a big financial decision.
Kasi like especially for this, people always want to say, magmi-milk tea ako, magsa-start ako ng milk tea business kasi sikat ang milk tea.
Yes.
But if you don't have the skills for it, how do you make your milk tea different from everyone else? How do you market it? How's your customer service? That alone, all of that, that's all skills based. How do you make your milk tea better? So I'll say this again, opportunities, you will never run out of opportunities. But again, in that opportunity, people should not rush also. Ako, the biggest mistakes that I've made in business and investing was when nagmamadali ako. Yung lure na gusto mo yumaman kagad, gusto mo kumita ganun kagad. And the fastest way to get rich is to do it slow. People need to love the process na wag magmadali. That's why a lot of people nasa scam, or a lot of people nagkakamali sa business because they take shortcuts when they realize that I'll give you I'm not a farmer, no, but I have a lot of friends who are farmers.
Sure.
The biggest trees that give the best fruit take the most time. That pag tinanim mo sa ground, matagal pa bago magiging malaki tree. And the same way sa investment, you have to take the time to build either the acumen, the skill, the experience. But please remember this. I'm not saying you don't start today. You start today already, because at the end of the day, the skill won't develop if you don't start today, but you start small and you come in knowing what you're getting.
Correct. I mean, like, there are a lot of young people like yourself who are very successful already at a very young age. I mean, definitely there are a lot of people out there parang thinking, they might have this fear of missing out. Now, I also want to be like Marvin or other, influential guys. I mean, how do I do it? And I think you've said it best. And, you really have to start somewhere, and you have to start slow, and you have to learn.
Can I comment on that also?
Yes, sure.
But number one, we all want to be like you. But number two, this is what I want to tell people.
Yes.
nice to have benchmarks, but the best way also for people to go up is
Yes.
don't compare yourself to other people.
Other
That's
people.
one of the best things that they
Correct.
can do. Focus on your own race. Focus on what your goal is, regardless if it's I want to start this business, I want to grow this to this number of stores, I want to earn this much money. But do not compare. The moment you compare, if you
Yes.
are better than others, you will think, napakagaling ko. Or if you lack compared to other people, then either maiinggit ka eh. So
Correct.
don't look left and right. Focus on your call. Focus on your race. Focus on the things that you need to do, and everything else does not matter. The noise around you should not matter also. So just focus on what you need to do. Double down on that. Find out where you're good at, and then work harder than everyone else.
Definitely, we have to focus on each and everyone's own race. Kasi it's really hard to, compare yourself to everyone. It's gonna be a never-ending vicious cycle of parang asa na lang tayo ng kung ano yung nagawa natin sa buhay. I think definitely what you said encapsulated it, that we really have to focus on ourselves and what we're doing and try to grow and add value to it.
Mm-hmm.
Last question, Marvin. Are there any advocacies that you wish your viewers to know moving forward? And maybe if you have any other information that you'd like to share on how they can kind of learn more from you and from others moving forward in regard to financial advice?
Wow. This lockdown, since we're all in almost where everyone can't go out, I hope that people use this time to learn, build their skill, and start to find that after this, you are a better version of yourself, either business-wise, skill-wise. It's okay mag-TikTok, okay mag-Netflix, but there has to be also a time allotted that when all of this is said and done, you come out better. And there's so many resources out there. We are living in one of the best times where information is right at our fingertips already. So Google, YouTube. I also have a YouTube channel. Everything's there. Just search Marvin Germo. There's already 1,400 videos. They're spanning a lot of different topics from and business. But that's what I hope people get. That we are in a time that there's crisis. But I hope that in the midst of crisis, people don't just look at the crisis. They find a way that either they position themselves for later on, or they find a way that they become productive. Because if they're not productive, automatic already they lose a lot of opportunities out there. And there's so much opportunities. Like this. If we weren't in a lockdown, it would be hard to schedule a video interview like this, because we were all we're all out and about. We're all doing things. So my suggestion, if you want to go also somewhere, try to follow someone that you want to be like someday. You want to be a good suit guy. Follow Suititupmanila Manila. So parang you can try to learn the skills that they have as well.
Correct.
But don't waste this time, because if there's one thing that I want to leave people, I always talk about investments. I always talk about business. I always talk about money. But for me, they're not your greatest asset. Your greatest asset is time. Because when you lose time, you can never take it back again. So do not waste this time, because the time that you waste, you can never take it back. Use this time wisely so that you position yourself for the better.
Maraming salamat, Marvin. We really appreciate the time. God bless you. Stay safe. And we look forward to speaking with you again soon.